go. Back from PAX. Had a great time. Met some really awesome people as usual. But I'm back home and this was promotion for Frosthaven, sequel to Gloomhaven that will be out on Kickstarter on 3/2020. So definitely take a look at that. So you'll see later in this video, what I did was I wanted to give everyone the attendee experience at PAX, which is essentially what it's like to walk up to the booths, meet up with the creators, the owners of these companies, some publishers, designers, everybody you're going to meet. I really hope you guys enjoy that content. What I do want to show you is some of the haul from PAX. This is mostly like kid games from my son, but just some fun little knickknacks that I found while I was there. So the first thing is a PAX exclusive limited edition organized play, which was actually for Thunderworks Games. They had Village Attack set up with some custom scenarios that I got to play with my friend who joined me at PAX, Brian from Portal Comics and Games in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. So I got this limited edition scenario pack for Village Attacks. So very cool experience at PAX. I bought this new game from Hava for my son, Go Cuckoo. So I'm really excited to play it. Really cool little dexterity type of game from them. So really excited to play this. So I picked up Medium and the expansion, Second Sight. We got to play this one night in one of the lobbies, hotel lobbies, and we had a blast with it. If you haven't played this game, definitely check it out. Phenomenal party game, 2 to 8, so it plays up to 8 players. You definitely want to check this one out from Greater Than Games. Just One has been on my list for a very long time. Unfortunately, I did not get to play it at PAX, but I'm looking forward to playing this with my family over the holiday season. So I'll let you know how all that goes in later content. But again, check this game out if you haven't. Wonderful party game. I grabbed Layer from Game and a Curry, and I met these guys a few years ago at a local convention. They're out of New York. They make some really interesting games. So definitely take a look at this. It reminds me of an Evil Genius PC game where you build a layer, but you're actually doing it against other players and trying to build the best layer for the bad guy. So take a look at that. Game and a Curry, Layer. I got my copy of Cristallo. This game looks beautiful. It is amazing. Comes in a wonderful little satchel. Single player game. The cards are really nice, and the production for the price that was available on Kickstarter was phenomenal. Small pack of cards, but you're essentially using these animal spirits to take out the black dragon, and some really cool spot UV, and some really cool animal spirits that you use to do so. You're essentially placing crystals on the cards when they're on the table, and the crystals are also super high quality. This is something I go for as a buyer for my own type of likes, but the crystals are super high quality of a component that you place on these cards. This is actually from the company I'm working with currently, Smunchy Games. It's an RPG we'll be releasing in the near future called Parslings, and this is the deck of cards, which rather than dice, you're using this deck of cards to play against your stats. So there are different symbols and everything on the cards, different suits, and based on the type of suits that come up and the power level, it will dictate whether you succeed or fail on different challenges. But it's a bit of like a deck building principle for an RPG, and your deck, as you build it up for your different abilities, these cards will dictate success and fail and other cool little mechanics like that. But that game is Parslings. You can check it out on smunchygames.com. From my buddies over at XYZ Games, I met these guys at Origins this past year, and they're pretty phenomenal. We met them it was a mixer after one of the conventions, and this was the game they actually had with them, the prototype version of it. Joe Slack is the designer on it. and the artist was Daryl Andrews, both really awesome dudes. Check out their work if you have not already. Really awesome game. Zoo Year's Eve is the name of the game, and it's a really quick party game. We learned it at that mixer, which is basically a rooftop bar, and the premise is that you're trying to sneak animals out of a New Year's Eve party. And each animal type has a different type of qualification, and those mechanics actually interact and play throughout the game. Really quick, fun game, and the art by Daryl, phenomenal, and really simple, elegant design by Joe on the game itself. Very small card game, but it packs a lot of fun and punch in the game itself. This game is by Rob. It's published by InsideUp Games. The way that you stack these things in this game is basically how you score them, and you can actually look down into the tiles, which I think is a really cool mechanic. And I really can't wait to get to the table. I did pick up these 3 games: T.C. Petty III's Handsome, word card game. Excited to try this with my family. Spaceship, also excited to try this guy. And from the wonderful Aaron Andrew Wilson, Why I Otter. Aaron actually talked to me about this at Unpub, I believe, last year, but I really wasn't able to get my hands on it until now, and super excited to play Why I Otter, which was one of, I believe, his first designs. Aaron, I'm sorry if I got that wrong. Thank you guys for checking out my game haul. This is an idea of what I picked up at PAX, but I really want you guys to share in that experience and see what it's like to walk the halls. Please become a virtual attendee in the rest of my video, and enjoy the booths I got to visit. Below in the description are the actual time points for each of the tables I visited. If you're here for a specific publisher, please go ahead and just go to that point in the video. Thank you all for tuning in. If you like what I've created here, hit like and subscribe for future content. Thanks.
By the booth. I have a whole bunch of stuff I could show you, but let's start with what I was just cleaning up. So we just finished a game of Standpunk Sculptor, which is, as you can see, a 3D block placement game. And I'm actually loving that you're able to do this, because what we're worried about here is actually laying blocks in this 3D plane, but we're only worried about our 2D perspective of these images. So if I knew you were coming, I would have prepared. And let me see if I can do anything here. So let's say, yes, look at this. So by placing this block on this one here, I have created that shape. Yay. Scoring myself these points, going down here, make points, and then I'll draw more. On your turn, you're basically drawing cubes into your supply, and also on the next turn, placing 1 cube somewhere on the board if you'd like. It is 1 to 4 players, and you can play, 1 to 4 players basically. So you'll be using the actual game box itself, prototype obviously, but the game box will have the legs that fold out from the inside and cover the bottom. So you have a raised platform for playing. So that way when you're there or here and you're checking your cards, you literally got the pirate thing going on where you're checking and you're playing and you're seeing if you can line up things. Can I actually make that work? No, not right now. You can line up things to kind of score those extra points. So yeah, that's Standpunk Sculptor.
It's going to fold out into the board. That's really innovative.
And that's the thing, is it's important to kind of have it at that eye level so that you can see, because once you close that one eye and everything compresses, that's what you're worried about. And everyone's placing on their own side, worried about their own side, sometimes helping, sometimes hurting accidentally the other players in the game. Really excited. It's probably going to hit Kickstarter, I'm guessing February, March, once I finalize the pricing. The biggest thing being the actual block construction, which I'm excited about because it is 99% likely to be clay, which has a great weight to it. It has a great friction to it, and it just makes everything feel better and sturdier, which I really like.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's Standpunk Sculptor. Behind us over here, actually, there are a couple options. I can take you down here. We just finished a game of Summit. It looks like we're resetting. Over here, that was the competitive side of the board. In our middle table, we have Gorse Maximus. Gorse Maximus is our 1 to 8 player trick taker. So in this one, you'll be gladiators in an arena, fighting, doing what you can, trying to beat each other up, give some negative points to your friends, get some extra endgame bonus points for yourself, whatever you can do, and you're able to manipulate trump during the game. So as you match cards, you can actually change trump mid-hand, meaning that you'll never have that dud hand. So it's been going really, really well for us. As I said, 1 to 8 players, lots of fun. And then on our last table, actually second last table, we actually have a game of Summit in its cooperative form being played. So this one right now, these players are trying to work together to both summit and descend a very dangerous mountain. They are, as you can see, on their ascent right now, and they have to worry about what the mountain's going to do to them. They're rolling dice for weather, they're drawing event cards, they're working together and with their Sherpas to try to survive this horrible mountain. It is such a difficult game that player elimination does happen, and so does self-sacrifice, where you might say, take my food and oxygen and go on without me. If you're doing the competitive side, then like that first table we passed, you'd flip the board over, and now you'd be racing up and down the mountain, trying to make points for pole position, but also playing karma cards to actively help and hurt each other. Yeah, and that's actually some of our brand new sleeves, some nice matte premium sleeves, which I love. And then actually our last thing that we have displayed for now is a game that we finished Kickstarter in June, and that is Seven Souls. In Seven Souls, I am so happy with how it turned out. The box looks absolutely amazing. I nerd out, and something about this dimension makes me really, really happy. The spot UV on it for that kind of shine makes me really, really happy. And just the art on all the different sides that he did. The Necronomicon, Dagon, all of these. Right, Migo, that's not the Migo, I lied. Migo's in here. But anyways, I'm super excited about this. You can see the spot UV on the board to give it that oily feeling of the Cthulhu realm. We will be delving into Lovecraftian lore by playing as the Ancient Ones. So at the start of the game, we are given secret objectives, which are the Elder Gods themselves, the Ancient Ones, I should probably say. We will choose which one we want to play, and using those cards, it will guide us through the game for what our endgame scoring might want to be. On our turn, we'll be playing characters from our character hands, up to 7 souls, hence the name of the game, and we'll be playing them to the different locations on the board, gathering supplies, be it souls, or power, or corruption cards, helping you in different ways throughout the game to reign dominant and supreme over each other, trying to earn some sacrificial altars, and some blessings at game end. Plays really fast, the art is fantastic, and actually, depending on when this drops, you can actually still pre-order it because it just finished manufacturing, and it'll be freighting over December and January, hopefully into backers' hands by February or March.
Thank you again. It's always great seeing you.
No, thanks so much. It was awesome. Nice talking to you.
InsideUp Games.
Nice to see you. Can I tell you a little bit about Keymaster? Awesome. So Keymaster is a company that is a family-friendly company. We make games that are sort of gateway games that anybody can play with their whole family. We have a lot of different games that we offer with a lot of different themes, and what we pride ourselves on is making games that are awesome to look at and to hold and to feel. So Keymaster is a game where you play mad scientists, sending your creature creations out into the night to collect mortals to perform experiments on.
That's fantastic.
What you do is you have a hand of cards with creatures on them, and everybody has the same hand of cards. And you get a mortal market here that is points in the game, and you want to secretly and simultaneously put down a creature card to pick your order in line. Some of the mortals are positive points, some of them are negative points because they like to fight back. And you play through the night, so you play over the course of 3 nights, collecting the mortals, tallying up your points, and then reshuffling the deck and trying again. It's got a lot of secret deduction, or social deduction in it, which is awesome. But it's sort of packaged into like a really beautiful looking game. And then if we come down, Control is actually our first game. It is a time travel game. So you play time travelers who are trying to fuel up your time machine so you can get home. These cards are fuel cells, and they have points on them and abilities on them. So you are trying to put down the cards for their point value, but also manage discarding them for their abilities so that you can mitigate the other players while you're trying to get to 21 first. It actually plays really fast. It's a great lightweight game that rounds play in 5 to 10 minutes. So it's great to play best 2 out of 3, and it comes in this super awesome box that has a nice feel. And it's really easy to keep it all together and take with you, and if you're going out to eat or taking anywhere when you're on the go. We also have PAX. PAX is a game that celebrates our national parks. PAX is from 2019. It's designed by Henry Audubon. And in it, you play 2 hikers who are hiking down a trail over the course of 4 seasons of a year. You take your hikers and you move through these sites where you're collecting memories, which are the resources in the game, and you're going to trade in those resources to visit national parks. So these parks have a cost down at the bottom, and then they have points that you get when you visit them. So it's a competitive game, even though it's about national parks and it has this really lovely, relaxing feel, but it has a slight edge. So on your turn, you take a hiker, and you move it as far down the trail as you want, stopping at a location that is open and collecting resources from there. But then if you have another hiker that wants to share a spot with a hiker, you have to use these campfires. You flip them over so you can share that space, and you collect those resources as well. And this is a finite resource. So as hikers move down the trail gets a little bit busy, and using that campfire becomes really important. So those are just some of our games. We have some playing cards as well that are celebrate some of the awesome art that we have in our games. So we have a Campy Creatures playing card set, and also a National Parks playing card set that has some of the art from 59 Parks print series, who we collaborated with on Parks the game, which we're really excited about. They both look really beautiful. So that's a little bit about what we have going on here. We have some other games that we sell too. They're currently sold out because it's the last day of the convention. But just like any convention, most of this stuff is available online, and you can grab it from our Amazon web store. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
Not bad. How are you?
Guys, welcome to the Kosmos booth. We've got some great games. Here's a demo for you, just really quickly, or at least introduce you to. The first one, this one I'm super excited about. It's called the Adventure Game. It's a series of games, and there's 2 of them in the series right now. There's this, the dungeon, and then there's this, Monochromity. And some of you might recognize that this looks like our Exit the Game series. The art is intentionally that way because they belong in the same family. Maybe cousins, right? If you like one, you'll probably like the other. In this game, so Exit the Game, they're like escape from game in the box. The riddles are very strong, the storyline's a little bit weaker. In the Adventure Games, the storyline is much really strong. And the riddles, there's not as many, but they're still very strong. The storyline is the focus. So it's a fantastic game. If you like Exit the Game, it's definitely worth checking out. And then I'll hold this box up right here. This is our newest game. It's City Skylines. It's based on a video game by the same name. This has been super popular here. I'm going to sell out probably before you guys walk out of here. Because this is a video game and this is PAX Unplugged, there's a lot of video game players here. They see this immediately recognize it. But you don't even know what it is. It's like SimCity. It's only the next generation.
We made an oopsie with audio when recording this segment. Tom went on to describe this as an engaging cooperative board game, and a solid translation from its digital counterpart. Being a massive fan of the genre, I really can't wait to play. Now, back to Tom for the wrap-up.
All of the buildings kind of balance and counterbalance each other. So, for instance, maybe the stadium is going to make happy citizens, but it's going to create a lot of traffic. So you put that bus stop. That's going to cost the city money. So then you put it in an industrial zone to kind of collect those taxes. And then your crime goes up. So you got to put it in a police station. So this keeps going back and forth. But again, the end of the game is happy citizens. It's really challenging, but it's a lot of fun. And it'll definitely scratch that itch of City or City Skylines if you know them. Those are our two newest titles and what we're most excited about here. However, our Gen Con releases, which are Roll for Adventure, Tribes, and Amos at the Duel, have also been doing really well for us here because not everyone here was a Gen Con, obviously. So, again, it's a fantastic show. It's a great show.
Awesome. Well, it's great seeing you again. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
How's it going? So, we're XYZ Game Labs. We're an independent publisher out of Chicago, Illinois. We've got a bunch of games here at PAX Unplugged. First one up here is New Year's Eve. This is a 2 to 6 player, 15-minute bluffing game that comes in this awesome little wallet. And the whole point of the game is to try and sneak animals into a New Year's Eve party. So, it's a bluffing game. You spend the whole time lying to your friends. It's a great time to do when you're at a bar, restaurant, whatever else. We've got Robot Lab, which is a robot building card game, 2 to 5 players. It's skewed a little bit younger. You know, the idea is kids building robots in a lab. This was our very first game. Came out like 2 years ago. One of our favorites. We've got Anoka, which is a quick play clashing game. It's like the best possible version of rock, paper, scissors you could play. 1, it's got amazing art. 2, the production quality is super high with wood pieces and chits and bits and a cloth bag. It's wonderful, and it's only $15. And it plays in 5 to 7 minutes, so it's great. And then we've got one of our favorite titles, which is Borderlands Tiny Tina's Robot Tea Party, the first wide release board game in the Borderlands universe. In this one, you're attending Tiny Tina's tea party, and what is she doing? She is assembling and disassembling claptrap units for your enjoyment. And then aside from that, if we head on this way,
you're going to go dumpster diving, go look in the discard pile for a piece that you're looking for.
So we head on this way, you can see a demo here of Tiny Tina's Robot Tea Party. See what it looks like for someone to build a claptrap unit. Then if we want to come over here, you've got Anoka. So like I said, it's a quick play clashing game. So each person's just going to go ahead and they're going to start the game with 3 attacks, with 3 taunts, if I can find the right one here, with 3 taunts, and with 3 different blocks.
That art is beautiful.
It is. Gorgeous arts, full, nice big tarot card size. So you'll start the game with those 9 cards, and then each player starts with the same 9, and then they're going to pick 5 of them to be what they use for the round. So, for instance, you may decide you want to go a little more defensive that round and pick, say, 2 different blocks. Maybe you want to be a little defensive and a little aggressive, so you'll do 2 attacks, and then maybe 1 taunt. And the way this is going to work is each player is then going to select one of these from their hand, and they're going to reveal it at the same time as the other player, and they're going to resolve those through the tactic hierarchy. So if you played rock, paper, scissors, this looks familiar. Your attack beats your taunt beats your block beats your attack. The wrinkle here is there's different strength levels on each one. So you can see that's a 3, and over here, put down, so there's a 2. The higher the strength, the stronger the tactic. So if you play the same one, there's a tiebreaker there. However, no matter what, a taunt 1 is always going to beat a block 3 no matter what, because taunt beats block. So once you've done the clash, you'll get this totem. It's called the advantage totem. And this represents that you have advantage in this battle. At that point, the rules slightly change from rock, paper, scissors to being a little bit off kilter. In this case, if I have advantage, if I win the next clash with an attack card, I'll be able to end the round immediately, claim a stone, and be able to reset to the next round. So you do that until somebody either wins a stone, or you get through all 5 rounds, and the person with the most stones wins. Now, coming this way. So over here we got Arch Ravels. This is our newest project. Just closed on Kickstarter in October at about $108,000 in funding, so we're super proud of this one. This is a competitive crafting and knitting and crocheting board game. So in this game, each player plays as a different crafter. You've got some that are better at making yarn, some that are better at coloring yarn, and as you play the game, you're going to collect yarn from the yarn bazaar. Then you're going to put that into your yarn bowl. You'll then use that yarn to craft these different items that are down here, which are represented by these tokens. And these are with points. And then you'll eventually turn those in to complete these projects. With the goal being that everything you do earns you some points. Every action you do either builds towards you getting the most points or completing a project or learning a pattern. Super fun, pretty immersive, mid-weight game with a really accessible theme. So we're really proud of this one. So that's XYZ Game Labs here at PAX Unplugged. Thanks for checking us out.
Thank you. How'd you go?
Awesome,
You too.
man.
Good to see you. Good to see you. So, I want to tell you about some of the new stuff coming from Thunderworks. Hot off the press is from Gen Con. We've got Cartographers. Plays 1 to 100 players. It's like a 45-minute game. It's a flip and write game, so it kind of hits that welcome to kind of Von Clever kind of thing, where in this game everybody's building fantasy maps. So each player has their own blank sheet. These are completed sheets, but they start out with a blank one. And each round, cards get flipped, and it tells them to draw one of 2 shapes and filling it with a certain terrain type, or it's being told you to do one shape in one of 2 different terrain types. So everybody's drawing based on these cards that are flipping out. They're looking at these 4 scoring cards that are in play. There's 16 in the box, and 4 are in play at any given time. The game takes place over 4 rounds, the first one being spring. And these tell you kind of what your goals are for the game. For example, this one tells you you're getting points for water spaces next to farm, whereas then this one's telling you you're getting points for forests on the edge of your map. But anyway, everybody's drawing, and then at some point, there are these ambush cards that are shuffled into the deck, and if it comes out, then this means you're going to pass your map to your buddy to your right, and they're going to draw this monster shape on your map, and then they're going to pass it back to you. That's not a good thing, because at the end of the game, for each space that's open next to a monster space is worth a negative point. So you're trying to kind of enclose the areas that your buddy drew on there for you, while also trying to meet the goals that are in front of you on the scoring cards. So that happens over 4 rounds, and whoever has the most points is the best cartographer. There's also things like you're gaining coins as you play by maybe picking smaller shapes. Also for enclosing mountains, you're also getting coins for that, which are worth points at the end of each round. So that's a fun one. You can it's a $25 MSRP, It also has a small mini expansion called the Skills expansion, which allow you to spend your coins to break the rules of the game somehow. So this kind of shows you what some of those are. You can use one skill card per season, so 4 times throughout the course of the game. And it's a good time. You're basically just limited by how many pencils and how many pieces of paper you have. So you can play these really big games if you want. I have seen people where they will project the card on the wall, and there'll be a room of people all like drawing on maps, which is really fun. But yeah, it's also nice because it plays down to 1 player as well. I've been told it's really works well on an airplane as well. So Cartographers, a role player tale. So this is one of 2 games that I released this year that are in the world of role player. It's kind of it's mechanically separate, but it kind of is. We're building out this world, and so there'll be more games kind of in this fantasy universe. The second game that came out in this at Gen Con that is also in the world of role player is Lockup. Lockup is a 1 to 5 player, 90-minute game about you're locked up in Colbeck Prison and you're trying to become the toughest crew. So it has a bit of deduction, but it also has some worker placement elements to it. Super fun. Artwork is great. This is a $50 game. And then the third game that we came out with this year is called Skull Hollow. So this is a partnership with Pencil First Games. This is a game that I designed that Pencil First published. It's a 2-player only game, highly asymmetrical, 40-minute game. So basically you play as one of either as the Foxen heroes or one is the 4 giant guardians. So you play on this 3x3 diamond grid, and then when the monsters are close to the foxes, they can jump on their body, and that's represented by a board. So the foxes can jump up on the monster's body and navigate to different areas, disabling different abilities. The foxes are trying to take down the big monster, and the big monster each have their own win condition, so they all play very differently, and they can also win by killing the leader of the Foxens. So on the Foxen side, there's 4 different leaders you can play as, and they all play differently as well. So that's where the variety on that side comes in. This is the insert. It's a beautiful production. The insert, Eduardo Baraf, kind of was the spearhead on all the production stuff, so he did this work.
Wow.
Each one has their own kind of fluff text about the creature. This was all written by Seth Johnson, and then each one has their own set of maybe possibly the best miniatures meeples you've ever seen in any board game. So here's one right there.
Fantastic.
Very cool looking, and each one are different. So Raptra is also one of my other favorites, where she's this flying eagle character, and then she also has like a cloud meeple that you put underneath her when she's in her air state versus the ground state. So each guardian has their own deck of cards that they play as. The artwork is by Dustin Faust, a fantastic illustrator, and they have dual use cards, so there's no dice in this game. It's all you're picking between 1 of 2 actions on a card, and so that's kind of how that works. And then the foxes, just to give the good guys a little bit of a love, the foxes have their own set of meeples that also double-sided screen printed, and they have a deck of cards that have the dual use abilities as well, but they also have unit cards where it allows them to put out more soldiers to the field, basically. And there's archers that are shooting from the ground, and then there's knights that are climbing up on the monster. It's a super fun game, 2-player, like custom 2-player game, and it's this one comes in at $50 MSRP on that one. Yeah, it's a good one. This one's going to be on a lot of best 2-player game of the year lists, I suspect. But yeah, that's Skull Hollow. Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, have a good show.
how's it going?
Hey man, how are you?
Not bad.
Good, dude. All right, so this is Wonderland's War, and Wonderland's War is basically our new game coming to Kickstarter February 11th. And basically, what we're looking at is the White Rabbit has went to go get Alice and bring her back to Wonderland because all the whimsy has been sucked out of Wonderland. And she doesn't know why. But guess what? Each player here, we got the Jabberwock, Mad Hatter, we got the Red Queen, and Alice. They all think they know how to fix this. And how the game actually plays is it plays over the course of two different phases. There's the Tea Party phase, which is right here. This is where we're actually going to be taking our character, going around the table, and drafting cards. These cards, they actually allow us to take towers over here. And our towers go out on the locations. There's 5 different locations in the game, and after everybody has drafted 4 different cards, we go and resolve all the battles. The battles are done via chips. Basically, we got like a bag building mechanic, right? So you're adding chips to your bag, placing towers out, and when we fight, everybody's gonna put their hand in here, reveal what chip they got, and then with this, they're gonna add power to the meter. Whoever has the most power per location is gonna win victory points, and they're gonna be allowed to place a castle right inside of that, okay? So we resolve each one. We do that over 3 rounds, and that's essentially the skinny of it. That's Wonderland's War, guys. All right, thanks, man. Right on.
Where should we go next?
I think you should go check out Title Blades. Derek's over there waiting for you.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Title Blades. Title Blades.
Yeah! What's going on? All right, so Title Blades. You guys just talked about Wonderland's War, so let's talk about Title Blades. It's a game that came out on Kickstarter last year. We're really excited to get this out next year, quarter 1, quarter 2. So Title Blades is this epic worker placement dice rolling game. So the story is 15 years ago, there was this epic great battle in which the engineers of the realm were able to craft this barrier that stops time and space. Unfortunately, the monsters that this barrier was holding back is now ripping, and the monsters, which you'll notice here in the fold, are coming through the barrier. It is up to us to train in order to show ourselves worthy of becoming a Title Blade in order to fight and defeat these monsters. So you're going to have dice that will upgrade throughout the game, and you're going to roll dice in order to pass challenges, which allow you to gain different trait abilities, and you're also going to use the same dice in order to defeat the monsters that we talked about that are now invading our home. It's 1 to 5 players, and it is an epic game. Look at these dice. Look at these. Look at them. I mean, the artwork is by Mr. Cuddington, so absolutely gorgeous artwork.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Really, really, really awesome stuff.
That's great. And I look at other components too. What else might we got here?
So over here we've got the Citadel of Time. It's kind of like our headquarters where we can go and gain new challenges in order to face them. Yeah, absolutely. So we've got the Citadel. We've got various other arenas around the board. We've got the Chronosium, Lamara Stadium, Droska Ring. Each of them function a different way, but they all allow us to pass challenges. And then we've got the Fold. Again, this is where the monsters are coming in, and we need to go and fight to remove them from invasion.
What's a normal flow? Can you show me a normal flow of the game?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your standee and one of your energy discs, and you're going to deploy this out on the board to a location. So let's say we come over here to Chronosium. We're going to get we'll get a blue die. It's going to go into our active dice slot. So let's say we want to complete this specific challenge right here. So we're going to need to roll dice equal to our current level, which is 2. So I'll take these 2 dice. I've got to roll what we call the danger die. And I'm going to try to pass this challenge and see what happens. All right, so there's one symbol. Now this lets me pass it. That's the minimum requirement. But we've got this system called the push it. It's essentially just like an overachievement where I can go above and beyond. I do have to pay this danger symbol, so it's going to go to my shield. Let's roll again and see what happens, see if I can pass this test. Nope, that's a free reroll. Let's do it again. Oh man, I got to pay for it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pay these 4 shells that I've collected. That's going to let me flip this over to the face of my choice. Now I've passed this challenge. I get to raise my dial by the number of successes, which you can notice were these 2 spirits. That's going to go under my board, and now I have trained in the fighting style of Chronosium. There you go.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Good layering of mechanics.
What's that?
Good layering of mechanics.
Yeah. You've got, again, so slight engine building with the dial traits that are going to allow you to do more on your turn. Progressive actions, so over the course of the game, you're going to unlock more energy, so your turns are going to get longer. You're going to get to do a lot more. And then, obviously, just trying to gain dice, upgrade them in order to fight, and be as efficient as you can be.
What else are we looking at while we're here?
Hey, you want to see Sorcerer City?
Of course.
All right, so Sorcerer City. It's a game that's it's right now fulfilling to backers. Right now, hit your doorstep, really excited about it. It's coming to retail in January. So what you'll notice, it's a deck building, tile laying, real-time game. All right, so players are building out a deck of tiles, and they're going to place those tiles. They have 2 minutes in which to build a city district. They're going to gain various amounts of magic and influence and gold and victory points, which we call prestige, all in an effort to be the best wizard or apprentice architect of Sorcerer City. So right now what they're doing is this team here is in their market phase. They're buying tiles to go inside their deck, and you'll see that they've actually already gone through the build phase. So what you're seeing on the table is the city districts that they built over the course of the year. So they're trying to make matches of colors. You want to match red together and yellow and green and blue, all in an effort of gaining what you'll see here on this board, which are the resources that you create.
Thank you so much for your time, Derek.
Yeah.
As always, thank you so much, dude.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Thanks for coming by. I hope you had a good time.
No, I did. Thank you.
How are you doing?
Doing well.
Doing good. You guys want to take a look at some games made by Floodgate Games today?
I guess.
Absolutely.
Floodgate Games.
Floodgate. Excuse me. Right this way, guys. So welcome to the world of Boss. Boss is going to be a light territory control game in which players are going to be playing the course over 4 seasons, planting trees, and then dropping leaves. It's going to be very simple in that over the course of the 4 seasons in springtime, you're going to be planting the trees on the intersections, knowing that the hiker in summer is going to try and check who has the most majestic paths on every row and every column, noted by the number on the trees. So where you plant your trees can interfere with both intersections on both sides. In the fall time, what do trees do? They drop their leaves, and then you can be dropping the leaves according to the wind tracker, notice over here. So the wind tracker is going to say the first season you have to use the number 1 tree and blow your leaves that way. And then after all players have done that, you'll have to use the number 2 tree going this way, 3 trees, 4 trees, basically telling you that where you put your tree in the first season impacts heavily how you can control the color regions. Because in the wintertime, whoever has the most controlled squares in the color regions will gain points. The last quirk of the game is that this wind tracker does get a chance to shift over in the summertime, because whoever's in last place gets to pick up this wind tracker and put it all over whichever side of the border that they want, giving them the most favorable winds and ruining everyone else's plans. Moving on to Sagrada. Sagrada is our current flagship game that everyone knows and loves. It's going to be your classic dice drafting placement game where players are going to take turns, picking dice in the pool, putting it into the board, knowing that no 2 colors can touch, no 2 numbers can touch. Meaning that under this board, it had to be a red here, but this 5 that must go into this space cannot be a red and cannot be a green, and that green dice cannot be a 3 and cannot be a 5. Which of course in turn means that this dice in the middle cannot be green, red, or yellow, and cannot be a 3 or 4. So that's where the puzzliness of the game comes into play. Of course, filling your board doesn't make you win. Completing the objectives is how you actually score points. So even if you fill out your entire board, if you were carefree and not doing what the Sagrada Masters asked you, you will end up losing. The base game plays up to 4 players, and obviously we do have the 5-6 player expansion, the Passionate expansion available too, and we have 2 more expansions coming out next year in the year 2020.
Awesome. 2 more expansions.
It's coming out. Gotta love the Sagrada. People are so hyped about the next 2 expansions. I unfortunately don't know too much about them, except that the next one might be leading Dragon, maybe. Here's Cosmic Colonies. This is going to be a game that we just successfully funded on Kickstarter a few months ago, and it's going to be your classic tetraminal placement game with the note that it's going to be easy to count scoring. Because the idea is that as you spend your resources to buy these tetra pieces, you're going to cover up the negative space so that the less you see, the more you score. So by the end of the game, if you covered up all your mountains, you see 0 mountains, you will gain 15 points at the end of the game. The only really tricky part is that the resources and buildings are limited and do not replenish until the end of the day after each player has taken 2 actions. Each player will use a worker for both the day and night action, either to collect or build, noting that each character has initiative, which is how fast they go, a carrying capacity, and abilities that interact with either the day or night action, and with the basic or advanced variant. And of course, again, as people buy buildings and collect resources, you only get 8 days to complete the objective, and whoever has best covered up their asteroid is the winner of the Cosmic Colonies.
Nice.
There we go. Beyond that, we have some other nice swag here. We're happy to see you guys. It's been a great PAX Unplugged. We'll hopefully see you at the next convention.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Welcome.
Tea.